The Quiet Revolution: How Black Women Entrepreneurs Are Transforming Business and Breaking Every Rule. Good morning, everyone. I stand before you today electrified by insights that have fundamentally shifted my understanding of entrepreneurship, resilience, and what true transformation looks like in business. These revelations came through my recent conversation with Krystal Pankey, a visionary whose work isn't just changing individual lives, but revolutionizing entire business ecosystems across America. Krystal Pankey isn't just a successful entrepreneur, she is a force of nature, a catalyst for systemic change who has dedicated her life to creating pathways where none existed before. Her research, mentorship, and fearless advocacy have helped thousands of Black women entrepreneurs move from survival to legacy building. And today, I'm honored to share the profound wisdom she's uncovered. When I first connected with Krystal, I expected to hear familiar narratives about obstacles and challenges. Instead, what emerged was something far more powerful, a story of transformation so profound, so contrary to prevailing narratives, that it demands we completely rethink how we understand success, leadership, and community impact in business. The narrative we typically hear about Black women in business focuses relentlessly on barriers, the funding gaps, the loan rejection rates, the underrepresentation, the microaggressions, the need to be twice as good to get half as far. These realities exist. They are harsh, they are persistent, but they are only half the story. Today, I want to share the other half, the half that challenges everything we think we know about who's winning in business and why. There's a quiet revolution happening right now, hidden in plain sight. Black women entrepreneurs aren't just surviving in business, they're thriving, innovating, and outpacing market growth in ways that should make every investor, every business school, every corporate leader sit up and take notice. Recent data shows Black women owned businesses have seen average revenues increase by 32.7%, a rate that significantly surpasses many other demographic groups. This isn't just impressive, it's extraordinary when you consider the context in which these gains are happening. Let me share three key insights from my conversation with Krystal that fundamentally challenge how we think about entrepreneurship among Black women. First, the rise of Black women entrepreneurs is actively reshaping entire industries. This isn't just about individual businesses succeeding, it's about creating entirely new support systems that foster generational success and community wealth. Second, despite persistent funding disparities and higher failure rates compared to white owned firms, Black women are leveraging resilience into strategic advantages, resulting in measurable economic impact that benefits not just themselves, but entire communities. And third, perhaps most powerfully, true empowerment comes from truth and transparency. Sharing real journeys, including the setbacks, cultivates community strength and inspires others to move from mere survival into legacy building. Let me bring these insights to life with a powerful story Krystal shared. In 2025, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council held their conference in New Orleans, a city itself symbolic of resilience and rebirth. At this gathering, Black women owned businesses were spotlighted not as charity cases, but as growth engines transforming American business. The systemic barriers these entrepreneurs faced were substantial and documented. Women received only 45% of requested loans compared to men's 55%. They faced higher denial rates, 25% versus men's 19%. They remain significantly underrepresented in leadership roles across industries. But here's where the story gets interesting and disruptive. These leaders didn't just accept these conditions as fixed realities. They didn't just work harder within a broken system. They reimagined the entire game. They built networks providing mentorship that traditional institutions failed to offer. They streamlined pathways to capital through collective bargaining power. They advocated for policy changes that would benefit not just themselves, but future generations. The results were staggering. 2019 to 2023, employment at these women owned firms grew by over 250%, with Black woman led companies seeing that remarkable revenue surge of more than 32%. Many of these business leaders started as sole proprietors facing repeated rejections. But instead of internalizing failure, they recognized systemic bias and banded together. After the conference, attendees secured new supplier contracts worth millions. Several launched joint ventures expanding into entirely new markets. Their collective efforts created an ecosystem where future generations can access resources more efficiently. And perhaps most significantly, they changed perceptions across corporate America regarding supplier diversity. This isn't just a nice story. This is economic transformation happening in real time. Let me share another example that Krystal uncovered in her research. According to findings published by the National Bureau of Economic Research in June 2025, men still start businesses at a rate nearly two-thirds higher than women. Fewer than 1 in 10 venture backed startups are led by Black entrepreneurs. Venture funding remains scarce for both groups. But here again, we see adaptation and innovation in response to these challenges. Female founders formed investment syndicates specifically targeting underrepresented peers. Angel networks prioritize investing in diverse teams with lived experience relevant to their target markets. The outcomes are telling and should be shocking to traditional investors. Despite lower overall representation among venture backed startups, just 14.5% being female led, those led by women achieved a higher exit rate of 19.4%. This demonstrates superior performance when given equal opportunity. Many of these successful exits came after years of bootstrapping due to lack of early stage funding, a testament to perseverance rather than privilege. Several founders went on to become investors themselves or mentors within accelerator programs focused on minority entrepreneurship. These wins are helping close gaps slowly but steadily while inspiring the next generation with proof that non traditional paths can yield outsized returns. The third revelation from Krystal's work comes from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, which reports women's startup activity rose sharply post pandemic from just over 6% pre 2006 up past 10% between 2021 and 2023. Much of this growth came from tech, wellness, and social impact sectors, led disproportionately by diverse teams, including many Black female founders. These diverse teams often lack visibility and access despite outperforming male led counterparts on ROI measures. This superior performance was largely due to creative approaches born out of necessity, innovation forged in the fire of exclusion. In response, female entrepreneurs use digital platforms, social media, and e commerce tools aggressively for both customer acquisition and storytelling, which also inspired further waves of first time founders. The number of US based women owned businesses nearly doubled that of men from 2019 to 2023, resulting in broader industry impact and increased market share for diverse brands. A significant proportion began as side hustle or micro enterprises before leveraging community support and digital platforms to grow nationally and globally. Best selling product launches, pioneering influencer partnerships, and viral content drove brand recognition across multiple industries from wellness to education to technology. By standing out with authenticity and inclusivity, their brands set new standards for innovation while empowering future founders to see themselves as capable leaders regardless of backgrounds or barriers faced. What Krystal Pankey helped me understand through these examples is that we're witnessing something profound. This isn't just about individual businesses succeeding against the odds. This is about a fundamental reimagining of what business can be and who gets to lead it. The traditional narrative focuses on scarcity and struggle, but these entrepreneurs are writing a new story, one of abundance, community, and strategic excellence. When Black women entrepreneurs succeed, they don't just climb the ladder, they redesign it, widen it, and extend it to others. They create business models that prioritize community impact alongside profit. They mentor, they invest, they transform. This approach isn't just morally compelling, it's economically powerful. The data shows that diverse leadership drives innovation and results in stronger financial outcomes. Companies with diverse executive teams are 33% more likely to outperform their peers on profitability. But perhaps the most powerful insight from my conversation with Krystal was about the importance of truth and transparency in this journey. The entrepreneurs making the biggest impact aren't just sharing highlight reels, they're sharing full stories, including setbacks and struggles. This radical honesty creates space for authentic connection. It transforms individual challenges into collective wisdom. It moves us from a culture of competition to one of collaboration. As Krystal put it, empowerment comes from truth and transparency. Sharing our real journeys, including setbacks, cultivates community strength and inspires others to move from survival mode into legacy building. This is the heart of the quiet revolution. It's not just about individual success, it's about collective transformation. It's about creating new models of leadership that value community, authenticity, and long term impact. So I stand before you today with a challenge to fundamentally rethink how we understand success in business, a challenge to recognize that the most powerful innovations often come from those who have been systematically excluded from traditional paths to power. What if the next great business revolution isn't coming from Silicon Valley, but from the Black woman who started a business at her kitchen table after being denied a loan for the fifth time? What if the future of business isn't about extracting maximum value, but about creating maximum impact? What if the leaders we need right now aren't those who've never failed, but those who've failed, gotten back up, and brought their communities with them? The quiet revolution that Krystal Pankey has illuminated isn't just changing business, it's changing what's possible for all of us. And it demands that we respond. Will you invest in Black women entrepreneurs, not as charity, but as a strategic advantage for your portfolio? Will you mentor, support, and amplify voices that have been systematically silenced? Will you have the courage to share your full story, failures, and all? so that others might learn from your journey. The revolution is happening whether we join it or not. But imagine how much more powerful it could be, Key, if we all committed to being part of it. The future of business is being written right now by those who were never meant to hold the pen. And it's time for all of us to pay attention. Thank you